Welcome to the replay of my social media mastery webinar. My name is Crystal Kostanovic and I'm the Millennial Coach. I'm so excited that you've decided to spend a bit of time with me today so that you can really start beginning to use social media intentionally as a coach, business owner, or solopreneur so that you can begin showing up in front of your paying clients or customers. Now, without further ado, let's begin. Okay, so I'm going to give you an overview of my process of what I did as a coach, business owner, and solopreneur in order to use social media in a more intentional way. I know that it's quite overwhelming. There's lots of information out there. So I'm really going to give you the examples of what I've done and how I've used it successfully. So hopefully this is just going to quieten the noise for you so that you can begin using the steps that I took as a coach and business owner to start showing up in front of my paying clients. So we're going to begin with, why do we use social media? A lot of my clients and my students in my courses, they're constantly saying, yeah, but why do we even use it? I don't understand how it works. And the short answer is, it's free. I mean, that should be the end of the discussion. We really have this incredible platform where we get to show up in front of the exact people who we want to serve with our products or services, who will benefit from it and who will buy it for free. So you can use social media without any paid ads, using it organically to show up in front of the people who are going to benefit from what it is that you're offering. We also have access to billions of users. So recently there was an article, and I think that the statistics were something like Facebook's got just over 2 billion users, Instagram's just over a billion, and LinkedIn is just over 500 million. So that means that across those platforms, you are definitely going to find people who match your ideal client or customer. We also obviously have a global reach. So this is really exciting. I mean, for me as someone who loves working in diversity and inclusivity, I love that I get to coach people all over the world. I've had a client recently in Japan. I've just done a presentation for a coaching firm in India. I've worked with people all over the world. It's really incredible that we actually have these beautiful platforms where we can connect with people from all cultures. You then also can use it as a networking tool. Now, this for me was the golden ticket. This was where my momentum and my selling first began. Because once I started using social media intentionally, once I started adjusting my content strategy, what I was posting, why, when, how, the content that I was actually giving to people was aligned with what I was doing as a coach. So I got really excited when I first started studying to be a coach. It was really life-changing. There were so many benefits. There were so many cool things that I was learning about mindset and neuroscience and emotional intelligence. So I was consistently posting about that. And when that started happening, my friends and family first, they started seeing the change in my content, and it started shifting their perspective of what I was doing. So it really anchored in their subconscious who I was and what I did and who I would serve. So I was talking about people being stuck, or feeling like they're not living their purpose. And then when they went and were at a social gathering or at work and someone was using that language and talking about being stuck, they would say, oh, you know what? I've got a friend named Crystal. You should go check her out on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. I think her handle's crystal.coach or something like that. You should check her out because she talks about that often. And then I was able to track that data, and I could see the actual relationship that was built from that contact through a friend or family. So it's really amazing that you can actually trace that whole journey. You also then get to position yourself as an authority. So this is, when I was talking about neuroscience and emotional intelligence and mindset, I was consistently showing up and speaking about topics that I was really passionate about. And then people realized that this is the stuff that I was focused on. I was an authority in this field, on this topic, because it's something that I'm consistently showing up as, I'm sharing, I'm giving value, and then people realize that they can trust you. You also get to do market research in real time. What? This is incredible. No longer do you have to go send out questionnaires or do interviews or cold calling or send emails and wait for people to reply and they never reply. Now you can actually ask the people who are following you, the people who are your fans, who are your ideal clients, the ones that are spending money with you. You can ask them what they want. So before you start investing in product development or, on a new service or package, you can actually test it with the people who are following you. You can find out from them directly if this is something they want. So you're no longer having to spend time, energy, money on doing those things because you can find out ahead of time whether people actually want it. And finally, you get to learn from industry leaders. You get to learn from people who are also doing what you're doing. You can connect and collaborate. You can see, what are they trying? What about that is aligned with your brand, your values, what your ideal client wants? And you can consistently learn from what other people are doing. So in terms of, why we use social media, these are definitely the top 8 reasons that I find to be the most significant. Okay, so let's get started on the 3-stage process that I used in order to use social media in a more intentional way and then, in a more successful way. So in the beginning, I really had to adjust how I thought about social media, how I was using it. And this is what I call the thinking stage. So, I have a drama background, so I'm calling them stages. And you'll see they look like steps, but it's a 3-stage plan. And this is where I really started adjusting my mindset on how I saw social media and how I used it. So I realized that I was no longer using it as a consumer, and I had to be more intentional about what it is I was posting, when I was posting, what I was posting about. And once I actually got that mindset shift, I could then begin using my brand and the values of my brand and the intention of what I was doing and who I was doing it for. So really clarifying who that ideal client was and who would benefit from what it is that I was offering as a service. And once I went through this stage, I could then go into my second stage of the planning process. And this is where, the fun began. This is where I started making content. As I was telling you before, I spoke about emotional intelligence and thinking patterns and neuroscience. So all my content was now aligned with who I was as a coach, who I was as this brand, and who I was directing that message to. So that was my intention. Who was I making the content for? What was my intention with the content? And what was the outcome that I wanted from it? And not only was it about what I wanted from it, I then could align it with what my ideal client was going to get out of it. And once I got that planning stage finalized, I got all my content ready, I had a strategy, I then went into the doing stage. And this is where I was implementing the strategy. It's where I would execute, the 2 or 3 week strategy that I had. And then I could actually look at the data. I would analyze what was working, what wasn't working, what could I adjust? Was the messaging correct for my ideal client? What did I need to shift in a way that would be better, that would resonate with them? And once I actually went through that data and analyzed it, I could then audit what I was doing while remaining aligned with my brand and my clients, and then going into the planning. So as you can see, it's almost like a cycle, because I would, think, plan, do, think, plan, do. But I look at it as stages because it's building one on top of the other. So I'm consistently building on what I did previously. So now that you can see the 3-stage process that I went through in order to use social media intentionally, for today's webinar, I'm really going to focus in on the mindset, the content, and the analysis, because those are the 3 things that are generally where the missing pieces of the puzzle are. Fortunately, I can't go into the other things because that's very specialized, and that's what I do in some of my courses. So if you haven't managed to build your brand and your ideal client persona or avatar, I would highly suggest doing that first. Now I'm going to explain to you that mindset shift that I needed to take in order to really use social media intentionally as a business owner. And this was really, the realization, it was this revelation when I was like, oh, I'm no longer using it as a consumer. I'm actually now a creator. I'm creating the content. I'm supplying the information. So once I could really understand that I wasn't going on social media anymore to consume content, I was going on it intentionally to give content and to learn. So when I got to this revelation, it actually made me think of it as in terms of a shopping center. So if you can think about Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn as an actual shopping center, the house, a brick and mortar business, and our pages, our business pages and our company pages, they are the shops inside those buildings. And our pages are the storefront that people walk past. So if you think about how you go, to a shopping center, you don't go into every single shop. You go to a shopping center because you want to get something from it. And it's the same on social media. That's what people are doing. They're going on it for a reason. Either, maybe it's a distraction, or they want to go and see what their friends are up to. Whatever their reasons are, that's up to them. But when they're there, it's what are we doing? How are we showing up? Is our storefront going to resonate with the people who are going to benefit from what it is that we're offering them? So your business page and the way you set it up, all the information you have, your cover photo, your profile picture, everything that you actually put on that page, that's your window. That's the window dressing. It's the thing that people can look at a glance to decide whether they want to come into your shop or not. And this is the point. We create content on social media like to get people's attention. So if you can think of it, of how shops create promotions and how, they put balloons, or they have a banner or chalkboard, or they have someone handing out samples, outside their shop. That is like our content. It's the thing that gets their attention so that they will subsequently walk into our shop. Because when they actually walk into our shop, when they like our pages, when they begin following us and engaging with our content, that's when we start building that relationship with them. And that's when we can convert them from a viewer into a follower, and then ultimately into a sale. And this is part of why you need to make sure that your page, your setup, your branding, your messaging is aligned with the people who are actually going to engage with what you're doing. Because, when people are just scrolling, that's like them walking past your shop and not coming in. So finding that alignment between your brand, your ideal clients, and the messaging that you're giving them. Now, not only is it important that we have our setup of our pages, our storefronts intact, it's also really important how we behave with our clients and our customers. And that's what I'm going to explain to you next. Okay, so now, not only do we want people to follow our pages and like our content and comment, it's also really about the social media behavior. So, social media is about being social, and it really is a reciprocation of you're going to get what you give. So if you want people to like your content, you've got to go and like theirs too. If you want them to comment on your content, you've got to go and comment on theirs too. And not only must you comment on their content, make it something that is genuine. Add some sort of value. Read the posts, or if you like the picture, say something specific about that picture. And I would also recommend that you ask a question, because asking a question means that you are instigating a conversation. You are really opening the door for a two-way reciprocal, conversation. And if you think about I like to think about social media as though I'm arriving at at a networking event. So, when you go to these and you put your name and you put your sticker and you walk inside and it's really noisy and there's lots of people and, sometimes you recognize someone, maybe they're busy. It's like going onto social media. It's noisy, there's lots of things going on. You recognize some things, you see new things. Now, what you do in those networking events, how you use them intentionally and effectively, is really up to your behavior. So if you're just going to stand in the corner and not engage with anyone, then you're not really using that networking event, to its fullest potential. Same thing on social media. So if you're going on intentionally and you're going and engaging in content and commenting on people's things with value and you're creating conversations, that's the same as you at a networking event, finding people, introducing yourself, asking them about themselves, getting to know people, creating relationships that will have a lasting effect. And that's really how you can use social media in a really intentional and effective way to create authentic relationships with the people who you'll actually be able to serve. So you're going to serve them with your product or service, and they're going to get value or a benefit from what it is that you're offering them. So that's really how you use social media intentionally and in a more effective way using social media behavior. Okay, people, now we're getting into the planning of your content. This is definitely the thing that majority of my students and clients want answers to. So the short answer is make your content client-centric or customer-centric. That means that you're creating everything for them, the information they want to know. What are the benefits that they will get? What do they want to know about your brand? What do they know about your product or your service? So you're giving them all the information that they want to know about what it is that you do or what you offer. But at the end of the day, it really is your choice. So on top of showing them the content that they want to see, you can also speak about the topics that are closest to you, that are aligned with your brand and aligned with that authenticity of how you want to show up. In terms of the different platforms, it's important to know that they have different formats and that you need to be platform specific. It's really dependent on what it is that you're doing. So Instagram is a visual platform. This is where you need to use square images because that takes up the most space on a cell phone. That gives you the most airtime. And because it's visual, it's really important to use visuals that your customer or clients will resonate with, because that's the first thing that they see before going into your caption. Facebook is more about detail and emotion and connection. So this is a great opportunity for you to make longer videos. If you're into videos, you can have longer posts with more background and information, more story type captions, because people like to spend the time on Facebook reading. LinkedIn is also a place that you can show up as an authority. It's a place where you can go in depth in your topics because people are prepared for it on LinkedIn. So if you're someone who likes to blog or you like speaking about certain topics, I would highly recommend using the in-house articles that you can write on LinkedIn. Now, not only do you have to make sure that you're, aligning with the different platforms, you have to make sure that your imagery or your videos is matching your caption or your copy. Facebook, I'm actually doing courses with Facebook and meeting with their marketing experts on a weekly basis, and they repeat this very often. Your imagery and videos on your headlines have to match what your caption says, because if they are misaligned, it actually creates mistrust with the viewer, and then ultimately Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn lower its reach. So make sure that the image or your video in some way matches what you're saying in that caption. Also really important to have a call to action. So that means you're asking the viewer to do something. This is not a trick, and obviously this is really where some of my students really struggle, but by asking them something specific, you're actually taking off the pressure about what to do with what they've just read. So by asking them for that specific thing, comment with, or asking a question, or liking with, or tagging someone who, by having that, you're giving them the option to choose to do that. If you don't have that, then it's much easier for them to scroll past. And finally, videos are really have the highest reach and the most engagement. So if you're not comfortable in front of the camera, I would recommend making a slideshow, maybe with a voiceover, just so that you can get some video and some views. And that is just an overview of what type of content you can make and how to make it specific to the people who you're wanting to serve. Okay, so now I really need to make sure that you understand the difference between a profile and a page. A Facebook profile, your Instagram page, and your LinkedIn profile, when you first create them, that very first time when you actually get an account, those are, categorized as a profile. This is where people have to request to be your friend on Facebook, people have to request to follow you on Instagram, and people have to connect. They have to press that connect button on LinkedIn. And for all three, if it's private, you actually then will go and accept it manually. Now, when you create a business page on Facebook, when you convert your personal account into a business account on Instagram, and when you create a company page on LinkedIn, this actually opens up the algorithm for you. And how the algorithm works is that Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, all three have the same business model. They are leveraging attention for advertising. So what that means is, when you're making content that is resonating with a certain type of person, so maybe there's an age category, maybe they have common interests or common job titles or common fields of work, then Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn are going to show more people like that your content. So they actually begin working for you to open up your funnel so that you can reach more people. If you only have a profile, you are limited to the people who have friend requested you, who have requested to follow you, and those who have requested to connect with you. So by creating these business pages or company pages, you are now hopping onto the algorithm so that the three platforms can actually do the work for you. But not only is it important that you have these business pages in order to open your funnel and to reach more people, you also open up the back end of all three, because then you get the analytics. And this is important because if you are checking your metrics and you're determining your success according to likes, comments, shares, and messages, you don't have all the information. Now let's get into the analytics. I get so excited about this because once I realized that I could actually go into the back end of Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, I started finding out so much more information about what was working in my content strategy. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to show you Facebook as an example, but you can access this in LinkedIn and in Instagram too. So when you open your Facebook page, you will see a window that says Insights. It's usually, you've got your profile picture, then you've got another window for your ads or promotions, and just below there, you'll see Insights, and you can decide, what time frame you want to look at. For the purposes of this video, I've used a week analysis from the 21st to the 27th of July because you'll see the data. It's really exciting. So in the insights, you can see the first thing is my reach, then it's the engagement, and then it's the page likes. This is just an overview so that you can at a glance see what's happening on your page. And my reach is unique individuals. So that means that in terms of my data, I reach 1,533 different people with my content between the 21st and the 27th of July, which is really amazing. You can also see that my engagement was really high. You know, the metric for determining effective engagement is a 3 to 5% of your reach. And as you can see here, my engagement was over 10% of my reach. So I often go back to this and I look at my content and I see what people were engaging with. And then I use what was working and I replicate that, you know, whenever I do a new content strategy. And then I can also see I had 3 new page likes, which is amazing. Those people became, you know, my followers, so I could begin nurturing that relationship with them. Then when you click on see all, you actually open the back end of Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And you can see here there's a menu on the side, and at the bottom it says people. Now, I call myself the millennial coach, and my ideal client is a millennial. So for me, it's really important that I make sure that the demographics are aligned with the people that I'm serving. And as you can see, in terms of the age, the 25 to 44-year-olds, they are my fans, which means they're the ones that are engaging with my content the most. And that means that I'm also doing really well because I'm resonating with my target demographic. But you can also see that I'm not excluding anyone. So a lot of my students, sometimes they struggle with niching down and making really specific ideal client avatars because there's a fear of excluding or not showing what else you can do. But by really narrowing down your messaging, by being so hyper specific about who you are serving, you actually clarify your messaging, which then becomes accessible to more people. It makes your message clear, and then those that resonate with it are actually going to engage with your content. Then if you look at when to post, now this is super cool. You see there under posts, you can go and see how many of your followers are online, your fans and followers every day, and what time they are online. This is really fantastic to know because you can then schedule your posts accordingly. So I see there that, you know, at this time, I think I had about 330 followers or fans, and so I can see that over 300 are online every single day. So, you know, I started going, well, you know, if majority of them are online every day, I should post every day because then that's going to increase my chance of them engaging. And if they engage, then Facebook is going to show more people like them. So then it's going to actually start working for me. Then when I look at that graph, I can see the time that majority of my fans and followers are online. And because it's Pacific Standard Time, I know that that's 9 hours behind South Africa. So I can see there 11 a.m. was, you know, the busiest time. So then I knew, okay, well, majority of my fans and followers are online at 8 p.m. So I'm going to post at 8 p.m. because then they're going to see it. But there's also a trick here. If you're posting and you're noticing that people are only liking and commenting, you know, a few hours later, it means that there might be a lag in your algorithm. So then you can adjust how you schedule accordingly. So that's how I started. I was like, oh, you know, it's taking like 2 hours for people to like stuff. I'm going to post at 6 p.m. so that when they're online at 8 p.m., my content is actually going to show up in front of them. And that's really how you can begin using the analytics to plan when you post, to check that the correct people that you're wanting to serve are resonating with what you're posting. And if they aren't, then you can begin making those adjustments and auditing your content while still remaining aligned to your brand and your ideal client. So I hope now that you have a little bit more insight into the analytics, you will feel confident to go and look at your insights and really start using it as a tool to increase your engagement, which will then, of course, increase your reach. Now that you have insight into my 3-stage process and what I did as a coach and business owner to use Facebook intentionally to show up in front of my ideal clients, you can see that I've had some really amazing success. I've had over 73 clients from all over the world. I've been the presenter at speaking events for numerous companies. I've worked in collaborations. I'm consistently growing my database, and I'm in the process of, nurturing more people to becoming paying clients for my coaching and my mentoring programs. So if you're ready to start using social media intentionally and successfully to show up in front of your paying clients and customers, I'm offering a 6-week social media mentoring program where I take you through my 3-stage process in a more in-depth way. In this 6-week program, we meet once a week for live trainings, and then we meet again for our live Q&A sessions, all of which are recorded and uploaded onto our private Facebook community. Here I make a group for the cohort that signs up for our mentoring program, and I upload the videos, my resources, my proven templates, my workbooks, my presentations, absolutely everything that you need so that you can use social media confidently, intentionally, and successfully to show up in front of your paying clients and customers. This is also an opportunity for you to have accountability and support, not only from me, but from a community of other people beginning this process of using social media. You will have 12 months access to the group where you can go to the videos and the resources and use absolutely everything that you learn in the 6 weeks with me. So this is really for people who are ready to scale what they're doing on social media. Whether you are already using it as a business owner, a coach, or a solopreneur, or whether you're wanting to start, this is a program for you where I will be able to take you through that entire process and leave you feeling confident that you know what you're doing by the end of the 6 weeks. So if you have any questions about the program, you're wanting to know more, please have a look on my website under my mentoring page, or you can send me an email, hello@crystal.coach. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I really appreciate that you came here and hopefully learned something. I'm so excited to connect with you, and I really hope to see you inside the social media mentoring program. Have a beautiful day.